Welcome back, bitches.
Welcome back. Skills Pay Bills, number 7. Is that episode 7 today?
Yep.
Holy shit. So how are we going to start it off today?
So, we have a couple of things that we want to talk about.
What's up?
Yeah.
So we're going to start off with our first section like we always do, what's up? And we're going to kind of talk about what we're thinking about right now at this very moment.
Okay.
And I kind of just wanted to start off this conversation with just a question.
Okay.
How do you feel about creative control, and why is that important to you?
So, creative control is obviously like really important because it's like creative control is like obviously already having like some kind of like style of what you're doing and being able to like do that with when someone brings it to you and you're like, oh, I would just like something that is made by you. And there's that creative control of like, well, I just don't want this and that. And then that's it. And then you're like, well, I could create something and I understand who you are as a person, all that kind of stuff. So I feel like creative control plays like a gigantic part in like the growth journey of an artist.
And did you always have creative control?
No. Like, especially like when we were doing like custom sewing, like I feel like there was a lot of that where it was like, I wanted like this, all these kind of things. And it was like, okay, so that becomes very draining, right? Where you're like, well, now I'm just the tool. Like now I'm just this tool that like you're utilizing, you know. It's not like if you're asking me for like my opinion as far as like textiles and how is this fabric going to react? How is that fabric going to react? It's more about like, this is what I want and I don't care how we get to that point.
But do you think like in the beginning when you were just starting, like you had to earn creative control? You just don't get that at the beginning, right? Because basically when you first started sewing, you didn't really have any credibility or you didn't have any pictures of what you've done in the past and stuff like that.
Yeah, so I feel like I obviously worked my way up to having like that creative control of people being able to like see like what I've done in the past and like what I'm capable of doing. Like I have like a specific style that I like doing, and so I feel like that's really important to keeping that alive, you know, where it's like I'm not gonna do something that isn't in my scope of like design, you know, where it's like I would find aesthetically pleasing. And I felt like one of the biggest things about like creative control, like I would have like people come in and they would be like, I want this with that, and I'm like, I would never put those things together. And then they're like, put your tag on it, and I'm like, no, like I don't want to put my name on that, you know, because it's like it waters down that brand, you know.
And how long did you basically not have creative control for? Like how long did you have people were bringing you stuff and you had to basically do whatever they wanted?
Like 7 years.
7 years.
So I did it for 7 years, and like I felt like during like the last of it, like right before pre-COVID, I was like, I don't want to feel like a tool. Like I felt like I was definitely being a tool. Like there wasn't anything like people wanted to be like, you're an expert, but then it's like you give them that expert advice and they're like, no. And you're like, okay, so, and it's like, and I've had the experiences of like someone being like, I'm a designer, you make this for me. And it's like someone else's design and you're like, what? Like, that's not how it works, you know? But it's like, not just that, but it's like, here's the fabric I want you to make it out of. And you're like, that's not going to look like that. Like there's like the way things drape are totally different than in different kind of fabrics. So certain kind of fabrics, they drape better than others. And giving that kind of advice of like, that's not going to look like that. And then this guy was like, well, let's just try it. And it's like, okay. But and it didn't look like that. And then he's like, how come it didn't look like that? And I'm like, because I fucking know what it's going to look like because I've worked with these fabrics before.
Exactly.
You know?
And then also clients would basically, when it doesn't look exactly how they envisioned it, they want you to start over and keep doing it again.
Exactly.
And that's where it got to a point where we basically had to break away from, and we had to like fight for creative control. But what did it take for you to actually get creative control?
So I feel like being able to like have that like where I've basically now am doing my own personal designs. Like I'm not doing stuff where it's like, oh, add like this kind of thing to that kind of thing. I'm more like, this is what I do. This is the only things that I'm doing. I'm not doing anything other than these things, you know? And I feel like that really helps narrow it down, as opposed to being like, here, pick all these things and then we'll see what happens, you know? So that has really like helped with narrowing things down.
And do you feel, so basically this brings it to the point right now where we're kind of like basically talking to each other at night and stuff like that, really trying to figure out, because we get a lot of customers still coming into us every day saying, I want a custom piece from you. I want something a little different. I want something that's not on the rack, but I want my jacket to be so Loka customized. Yeah. And it's like, how do we step into that realm again? Mm-hmm. How do we start opening up, you know, commissions and stuff like that without going backwards and giving up that creative freedom again? Like, how do we do that?
Yeah. And I feel like that has definitely been like one of the things where it's like, I've been like thinking, like, how could we do this? How could we like make sure that like we're listening to our customers, you know? Because that's like one of my main things where it's like, if my customer is talking about something that they want, like we want to fulfill that. Like I'm not trying to ignore that consumer, you know, but it's like, I want to make it to where it is a very pleasant experience. And for me, like when I was doing custom sewing, like I really overwhelmed myself, you know? It's like, I want to learn from all these mistakes that I did when I was doing like that custom sewing. And with custom sewing, what I was doing before, it wasn't like, if it was like, we're making jackets, it wasn't that. It was like, you're getting a dress, you're getting something totally different, you're getting something totally different. And it was just a lot of just random, you know? And so for me, taking that back and being like, this is what I specialize in, you know? And those are the things that I really want to make sure that people understand. You know, we specialize in these 3 things, and you could get them customized, and you could, you know, this and that. So it's like, I really want to like learn from that mistake, as far as like taking in like 30 commissions a month, like really narrowing it down and having like a starting price of like, this is the shop starting price.
And how do you envision? Did you envision in the future where people will bring in their own jackets to have you rework and kind of do something on it? Or will they basically come in and you have to source the jacket for them? And like, what are the parameters around it? Like, what can they ask for? Can they come in and say, oh, I want a picture of my favorite dog, or I want this or that? Like, how do you stop that from happening again? Because I'm just so scared that we're going to move backwards.
Yeah. So,
I'm really fearful of that.
So obviously, like with the different kind of patching and stuff like that we do, like I feel like that's like really like our signature of like utilizing like vintage patches and like recycled goods, you know? It's like, I'm not trying to do like any kind of like sports stuff. That's not who I am. You don't see any sports stuff in my stuff. You don't see any like customized, like, this is like my dog, you know? Like you don't see like these weird phrasing of like, you know, hippie girl or what. That's not who I am. You know, it's like, I'm very like punk rock. Like I have that rock and roll kind of aesthetic. And it's like, I just don't, that's not what you're coming here. You have to remember that it's like, what is the aesthetic of that brand? You know, and we're not trying to get out of that aesthetic. Like we're trying to like, if you like that kind of look, you're going to come to us for that kind of look. Like you have to see me as like an artist where it's like, if I was a tattoo artist and I only did black and white, why would you come to me for a color tattoo?
So it's very similar. How we want to do the commissions in the future is very similar how you would approach a tattoo artist, right?
Exactly. Or like any kind of artist that is going to, you know, create something for you. Like, you know what kind of style like you're going to get. Like you should approach it like that.
So basically, like in the past, I went to Sky and said, hey, you know, I love chess, this and that. Like, can you do some kind of chess piece? But I don't micromanage what the actual drawing looks like.
Exactly, because you trust that person. You know what they're capable of doing, and you trust them. The beautiful thing is that it's not for life with us. You could unstitch it and restitch it, you know? So it's like having that, like, having that creative control where you're like, hey, you know what? I would want something like this, you know? And then being like, okay, you're like this kind of person that likes this, like, cool, like we could create something that like only that is inside of the jacket. So whenever you need that extra reassurance, you could look inside and be like, dude, this is gonna get me through the day or whatever, But it's like, it's not like something where we want to get into where it's like all of a sudden now you're freaking, telling me like, oh, I want to fucking like my cat and like my freaking this, and it's like, no, like we do have like vintage cat patches and like we're down to do stuff like that, but we're not trying to customize it to where it's like something where we're like, I want to proudly be able to put my freaking signature on that, and I don't want to just be like that, like what you micromanage this project so much that I wouldn't freaking put my name on that, and I think it's really important to like understand like those boundaries as an artist, where it's like, we're going to open up these commissions and they're going to be very limited commissions, very limited kind of like slots. And we just want you to respect that as like an artist being like, hey, we could totally create this for you, but you're coming to us because we have this specific style.
And how is this going to be different than what we currently have on the website, which is build your own jacket?
It's like, it's just more in tune to like who you are. Like, it's like, I want to know like, and it's like, it's not really like sitting with someone, but it's like, I want to know like what inspires that person. Like, what is behind this jacket? Like, why is this jacket important to them? Like, you have to keep in mind that a lot of the times you're wearing a jacket and it's like the design and everything is like on the back. So it's like, what do you want to tell the world, without telling the world, And to me, it's like, I have like a different way of being like, what do you like? It's like, for me, I'm like, what do you not like? Like, what colors do you not like? And this and that. And like, I feel like having like this really like small questionnaire of like, asking them like, what do you, this and that really like defines like where we could start as far as like design.
And that's going to be the biggest challenge for us, right? Is just basically defining what those questions are. Exactly. And making sure to get it right and really to communicate to people what we're expecting with this commissions.
Exactly.
Because we don't want to move backwards. We don't want to start getting into the custom part of it again, because when we were doing that, I saw you more stressed than I've ever seen you in my life. And now, finally, these last couple of years, you've kind of been at peace. So I'm just don't want to move back into where people are saying, oh, put this, this, and this. And Claudia is always saying, oh, I would never do that. Oh, that's not me. Oh, my God, I have to put my SL on it, and I don't agree with it.
No. I would not, seriously, like, I would not put my name on something that I would not feel comfortable. Like, I don't want fucking someone going out, and then it's, like, this thing that I would be like, I would never do that. I would not put my name on that. I guarantee you, I will not do that. Like, I'm not trying to, it's like I've built, like, this brand that, like, for me, like, it's taken me so long to build to where it's like I've had to basically, people have tried to humiliate me. People have tried to do all kinds of stuff to where it's like I'm not going to allow for the brand to be watered down by someone that does not want to give an artist creative control. So it's like, for me, like, I've always been, like, a very kind of people pleaser, like, I've always been, like, yeah, and it's, like, and this is, like, the one thing that I really enjoyed is being able to say, no, I don't want to do that.
But we've been saying no a lot these past couple of years. And I think that's what got us to this conversation, is that we just saw over the past few months that it's almost like we've been saying no a little too much, where it's like people are obviously wanting their jackets to have, like, the So Loka touch to them, but we just haven't quite figured out how to get that process going where we're not, like you said, watering it down or just taking all of their suggestions and not doing our creative control. So it's like, that's where our mind is right now, where we've been saying no so many times, but we want to say yes.
Yeah,
we want people to be wearing So Loka jackets. That's fucking awesome.
To an extent, because even, like, with the back patches, like, people are like, can you write on there, like, #1 Dodger fan? And it's like, no. I don't want to do that. Like, I don't. Like, that's not, get a patch from someone else and let them, and then you take it to someone. Like, I'm sorry, that's just not, like, what I'm trying to do, It's like, I'm trying to like I've created like this whole entire thing where even like with the customizable thing, there's only like a variety of things that you could choose, because I don't want to then all of a sudden like you're seeing something that's like super corny as hell and you are now tied into representing that company as well. Exactly. And for me, I'm like, dude, like, no, like, you want like stuff like that, like there's a time there's people that will gladly do that, but it's like just respect the artist for like having like those boundaries of being like, that's not like in the realm of that. And it's very difficult to even tell people that like you're like, I just don't like feel that is like on brand with us.
But I mean, you would expect that with a tattoo artist. You would expect that with a muralist. Anybody else that does commissions that you reach out to them, you're reaching out to them based on their aesthetic and their style.
Yeah.
So it's like people just have to get used to dealing with people who are making clothing like that as well. I mean, you are a clothing artist, so you deserve that same kind of respect, basically.
I would like to think so.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
But I also feel that, it is like one of those kind of like weird spaces of like, okay, so you are creating like clothes, right? And you are creating like this whole thing. And so I feel like a lot of people, since it's so new, that they're just kind of like, I don't understand why you wouldn't do that. It would only take you this much and this, and then it's like, yeah, it's not like the time or the energy or all that kind of stuff. It's just like, we want to like keep having value, because then it's like, then we're just not a brand.
We could easily say yes to you. We could easily put #1 Dodgers fan on the back, and we could easily make the sale.
Yeah.
I mean, we could have been doing that so much. It's way harder to say no because we're trying to think long-term about the brand.
Yeah.
We're not trying to think short-term where we're just like, oh, we're making sales, and we're also watering down the brand. That would fucking suck.
Yeah.
So this is more of a long-term strategy.
And not just for like us, but it's like for the people that are like so invested in our brand. We have people that like, they're so dedicated to where they're like, I'm getting this drop, and they're really consistent with it. And so for me, like, I think about them in the sense where it's like, I don't want for them to feel like all of a sudden it's like, it's so diluted. There's no real brand behind it anymore. There's no design. Like go to an artist because you like their aesthetic, you like their design. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm designing something for you. If you like my whole thing, you will come to me and be like, dude, I love all that shit. Can you make this happen on my shit?
Exactly. If you want to come and design your own thing, don't come to us.
Yeah.
Come to us if you want Claudia to design it. That's just simple as that. If you trust in her design skills, if you like what she's doing, then bring it to us. No questions asked.
Yeah.
It should be as simple as that.
Yeah. But it's never that easy. Because
everybody thinks the vision is in their head is the best, and it's like they want you to create their vision for them.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, we just have to get people to understand that that's not what we do. Exactly. You have a vision that you're trying to put down, and you're an artist that you're trying to express yourself through clothing.
Yeah. And that's, to me, I'm like, okay, not knowing who you are, not knowing who, and then me being like, who the fuck is this motherfucker that's chopping off this flannel that now wants this, that now is, dude, do something fun to it. It's like, that is hard, right? Like, you don't know them. You don't know, like, what they don't like, what they do, like, all that kind of stuff. So it's like the challenge of being able to create something where it's like, hey, like, maybe, like, scoping out their Instagram and kind of getting a sense of, like, who they are, or, like, what they don't like who they are as a person, like, more, like, not like so surface level where they're just kind of like a person, but it's like, who are they, like, what kind of beliefs, what kind of, like, you could find all that by stalking someone's Instagram page.
That's a terrible way of putting it,
but you can
I love it.
But you can. It's like, it's one of those things where it's like, for me, like, it's like, you want to wear like a jacket that speaks without you having to do that. Mm-hmm. You want for it to be like something where you're wearing it and people are like, oh shit, like, I understand that. Like, he doesn't even have to make a statement. Like, I know where he's at with that.
Exactly.
And for me, that's really important. Like, I have that very, like, punk grunge aesthetic. And so if you don't like that, if that's not your style, you wouldn't come to me for that.
Exactly.
I'm not trying to do anything other than that. you know, it's like I'm trying to stay true to like who I am as like a person and who I have been for the past freaking life I've lived, you know. This is how I've lived my life, you know, and it's like,
And we didn't just come right off the bat and try to do this and have creative control. Like, I feel like you
Yeah.
put in time, you put in work, you've earned your credibility.
Yeah.
And that's where we are right now.
Exactly. Yeah. So, yeah. I think it's time to...
It's time to open up the commissions pretty soon.
Yeah.
And
we're
that's
gonna have to-
going to be the next step, but we're basically just trying to write everything out correctly. We're trying to ask the right questions. And that brings me to... We're about to enter into face-to-face FaceTime. So we're out of our first segment. We're going to head right into our second segment, face-to-face FaceTime with Rodriguez Paletas. And let's see how this goes. Let's see if the connection could get started. How are you feeling? Oh, I think they're doing some kind of, I don't know if you could hear it out there, but there's definitely an event going on outside. I wasn't expecting it on a Monday, but, you know, it's all good. It's very festive. There's something happening out there.
Like,
I don't know what's happening, but I can hear it in the headphones.
I was like, is my phone on?
Yeah, right. I think it's a...
Oh.
But we are still recording though, right? Yeah. Okay. Cool. Even through the thing.
Oh,
okay,
cool,
sick.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I'm really excited to get to know Los Rodriguez.
Yes. Send them the link. Okay.
Because, you know, it's like they've been doing something really, really cool, and I feel like, you know, I really want to talk to them about what they've been doing, like how they're keeping a lot of things alive. So,
and what do they do? What is the business? What is Rodriguez Paletas?
They are a paletero, like family. So they have a really cool little, you know, cart they sell paletas out of, all that stuff. So
oh, hell yeah.
I'm sure she'll be able to explain it a little bit better than me. I always feel like I like giving them that opportunity to be able to be like, this is what we do, as opposed to like you being like half-assing, like, you know, the explanation for what they do. But yeah, really cool people. Like, I really have enjoyed talking to her and him, and, you know, just seeing like what they've been doing for the community, all that kind of stuff. So,
and do you have any memories growing up in San Fernando of paleteros?
yeah, of course. Like, I remember paletas used to be like 50 cents.
Oh, shit.
Now they're not 50 cents, but, you know. But, yeah, it's like you would hear the little bell, like, and then you would be like, oh, shit, the paletero. And then, you know, like, you would ask your mom, like, hey, can I get a paleta? And then she would be like, yeah. And so since there was a lot of us, we could only do, like, the 50-cent paletas.
I was about to say, because you have 6 brothers and sisters, so
Yeah.
how everybody got one at the same time?
Yeah, we all got one at the same time.
Oh,
Hi.
Hey.
Hi.
Oh, I love the shirt, too.
20.
Yeah. How are you? We're just waiting on your audio. We can see you, can't hear you yet, but we're getting there. We're getting there.
Okay.
Ah,
There
there
you
you
go.
go. Hell yeah, hell yeah. What's up? How are you guys?
Good. How are you?
Good. How
We're
you
doing
doing?
good. Look at him.
Can't fit in the whole camera.
It's okay.
Hey, we're really excited to have you guys. Like, seriously, really, really excited. We were just basically talking about, you know, who you guys are, and I feel like you guys could do a way better explanation of what you guys do than I can. So if you guys would like to introduce yourself, that would be awesome.
All right. Well, I'm Rosa. This is my husband, Victor.
I'm Victor.
We're the owners of Rodriguez Paletas, your local paletero family.
Super cool. And how did it start?
Oh, well, it started a little bit back when I was a younger teen. It started there with my dad, and just seeing him contribute, doing it every day. You know, I'm going to school, so I always figure out, you know, what does he do every day? So it comes to, even if picking me up from school, he'll pick me up in an ice cream truck. And I feel a little bit embarrassed, like parked down the street, but,
Yeah.
Mhm.
you know, it worked out for the best. And it's just, you know, getting to know everybody, and me doing it now. It's better because, you know, I just want to do more things with my kids, and just seeing it. My dad was always there with us. So now, you know, just want to get back to that, and just basically keeping the culture alive from back then when I was young to now, and for the future.
We like your whole thing is like keeping paletero culture alive. Why is that important? Like why why is paletero culture, why is that being kept alive? Why is that important to you guys?
I feel like um, lately there's been a lot of um, older paleteros who are now just getting, to the point where they are too old to keep walking. They're
Mm-hmm.
too old to, keep going around the neighborhoods. And I feel like that was a big thing, a part of, our childhood was hearing the paletero man, hearing the elote man, the raspado man, whatever it was just something that as a kid, that's what you would get to experience. I feel like now you don't see it as often.
Hmm.
And when we say keeping paletero culture alive, it's keeping that childhood nostalgic, memory for not just us, but like, for our parents, our grandparents. So,
Exactly. And I feel like I grew up with that, where it's like there was a paletero, and that paletero like religiously like passed by our house because there was like a ton of kids there. So he was like, I'm in a bank right here. But
yeah,
it has been like one of those things where I feel like it's such a huge part of our culture. Like the
yeah,
paletero, the elotero. Like I make sure that every time that there's an elotero that passes by, I'm like, I am getting a snack right now. But it's like
yeah,
it's so rare to see it now. Before it was like you heard that like horn or the little campanitas, and then you would be like, oh shit, there's an elotero. And now it's even more rare to even find a raspado guy. And
yeah,
Yeah.
so for me, like I remember growing up and thinking like, oh, here comes the elotero or the paletero or this or that, and you knew that like grandma was gonna take out a little monedero and be
hmm,
like, here, everyone go and buy like an ice cream, and it was like a bonding experience with all your primos, and sitting there and just being able to like interact with someone in the community. So I feel
right,
like
right,
it's definitely like whenever I go back home and we go and we seek out the eloteros at like the
mhm,
misas. and I'm
yeah,
like, this is the only place where you can actually find an elotero at church. And so I'm like
yeah,
telling my daughter, I'm like, this is like the jam. Like this is like so good, and she's just kind of like she's not growing up with that. So it's like
exactly,
it's hard to like, I'm glad that you guys are taking that initiative of keeping that cultural side alive. And
yeah,
especially with all the stuff that you guys do for the community, like you guys are constantly fundraising for stuff.
yeah,
And I feel like with the fundraising and even just utilizing your platform to elevate street vendors, is
yeah.
really, really important, because there's a new ordinance that's gonna happen. So it's like, how do you guys feel about that, and like what street vendors have to go through?
So, like, for us being first generation business owners, um, we weren't taught any of this. We weren't taught, how to market a business, how to apply for permits and licensing. And even if you're just selling paletas, a lot of people do not have the proper licensing because the help was not there.
Mm-hmm.
There's not someone who has gone through it enough to share that information with them. It's a scary process
Yeah.
because if you don't know, who you're looking for or where to even start, um, you just kind of give up. And I feel like a lot of small businesses do that, especially with street vendors. And I know with this new law that they're trying to do, it's great, but street vendors aren't out here making millions of dollars. They're not out
Exactly.
here, buying a new Tesla. They're trying to put food on the table. So I feel like it takes advantage of street vendors really
Yeah.
just trying to make. So I feel like we try to use our platform to really help other businesses, help street vendors, like find the actual resources, talk to someone who's actually gone through the process, and if they have questions, they have questions that they can answer, you know.
And
Exactly.
is the permitting and licensing process, is it as daunting as it seems? Because I know that's the biggest issue in the beginning is like everybody's like, oh, I don't want to go through all that because it is a lot of work and paperwork and stress. But is it worth it to do that in the end?
I think like for us it was worth it because
Yeah.
I know we want to bring so much more to our business. We really want to um advance other than just selling around the neighborhood. We want to be at schools and do we want to do so much more. So for us, having the permits and the licensing has really opened doors for us. I know a lot of people don't want to do that, and that's perfectly fine. But for us, we really wanted to be doing more with our community. So we wanted to make sure that we were going to be okay. And the hassle of it is just really having to identify what permits you need. So like you need one to have frozen prepackaged things. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's something that you normally don't even know how to word properly. I know we struggled
Yep.
to try to figure out how to word it before it got approved.
Yeah.
You know,
But if it comes bad, let's try again. Maybe
Yep.
it's a different category or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
yeah,
It's only all the error. Like I said, we're doing it by ourselves. So we got it until it was the right one, and it was inexpensive as well. It's going all together at once. Yes, it looks expensive, but individually,
Yeah.
it's not so much. People it might be, but maybe we could help somebody out if they don't have that money to do
yeah,
the permits or something like that. Maybe we could figure something out.
And,
Because it's inexpensive. We try to, if you don't know the information, reach out to us and we'll try to help you get the information that you need, the proper wording of permits if we can.
and that was my
Just
next
here.
question. What's the best way for people to reach out to you with these specific questions?
So I have started to do like a Skype call or a Zoom call with some businesses, but even just sending us a message on our social media, we do our very best to try to get back to people as quickly as possible because we know, some people are impatient because they want to get started and they
Yeah.
just
Mm-hmm.
going to the office, especially with COVID, that was like very difficult for us because you couldn't just walk into the office.
Mm-hmm.
And it was
Exactly.
really hard to get someone on the phone to even just answer some of our basic questions.
And I think that's the most
So,
important part, I think, for some people is just they'll be able to reach out to you and that you can kind of talk them through it. Because I think sometimes when you don't know, you're just like, oh my God, this is going to be too expensive or the process is going to be
yeah.
too exhausting. But at least they can talk to you, somebody who's done it, that can kind of talk them through it. And I think that's super valuable.
Yeah. I feel like that's like such a valuable thing because it's like for me, like there was a lot of situations where it's like I wish that I had someone that I could kind of like just pick your brain and be like, am I doing this right?
Right.
And for you guys to like obviously be like, we've done it before and this is what we did, it's such a huge crucial part to like building that kind of like relationship where, you know, it's like this community of other street vendors, and I feel like, for me, like growing up and being around like the street vending and all that kind of stuff, a lot of them don't speak, English or don't understand like these insane documents that you're just kind of like, me even like speaking the language is like really difficult to be like, what are they talking about? So it's like, it's really nice to be able to have someone that you could like trust and like feel like you're not going to get judged by them, and for you
Yeah.
guys to like just kind of be like, look, we just all want to thrive. We all want to work
Right.
together and, which I feel like is really, really important.
Right. Yeah. I feel like our main goal is to grow as a community. There's enough space for all of us to win, for all of us to, succeed, whatever your business is,
Mm-hmm.
whatever thing you're selling out on the street as a street vendor, there's enough for all of us
Yeah,
to eat at the same time. So,
exactly.
And vendors and businesses, they complement each other. We shouldn't really, you know, a lot of the businesses with the vendor ordinance, they were looking at vendors as competition, but I just think that's the totally wrong mindset.
Yeah.
It's like we all complement each other.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's...
Yeah, for us, like, we started, like, I started as, like, a street vendor, you know. It's like I would set up at different events and, you know, do all that kind of stuff. And so for me, like, I understand that that was, like, a great way for me to, like, kind of test out, like, my markets and see, like, where I would do well, where I didn't do well, like, you know, all that. And I feel like, obviously, not all of us have, like, the capital to be able to, like, move into a location, you know. And for me, like, being able to, like, be, you know, there with, like, street vending and do all that kind of stuff and how alive it makes a neighborhood look, has been one of the things where it's like, I feel like that's kind of like how we got to meet you guys and get involved with, like, you know, what you guys were doing and, like, really just be like, oh, wow, like, they do this and it's totally different than what everyone else is doing. And, and especially that you guys are really, like, young and keeping, like, that culture alive is just amazing, you know, because it's like, I felt like you, Victor, where it's like, I was, like, so embarrassed by, like, my dad hustling, like, shit. And I was like, and now I'm like, you know, I'm like, okay, like,
that's the way it is.
Yeah.
You know, now you're just kind of like, why? Like, I was just a dick right there, you know, but you know, you just, like, I feel like it's so awesome that you're keeping that alive for your dad, you know, and that pride in that, you know, it's really beautiful. I love that you guys are doing it, and you guys take the kids with you guys, which is freaking awesome. You know, and so then it's like, oh crap, like, and that pride that they get to see, like, their parents do it is, you know, it's like they're gonna be like, dude, if my mom could do this, like, I could do anything, you know. So it's very inspirational for us to, like, see you guys as a family doing it all together. So yeah, you guys are definitely, like, a huge inspiration.
Yeah,
Thank you. Yeah, they have a lot of fun with it, especially because they get to test the ice cream, you know. They get to tell their friends, like, what do you do after school? Oh, well, I'm going to be eating ice cream. What are you going to be doing?
Hell yeah.
That's the goal. That's the goal.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's the perks of
so, you know, and they like to tell their teachers, they like to tell the schools, you know, like, if you guys want to have an ice cream party, just call my mom and dad. You know, they just, that they see, for us, we wanted to make sure that we, you know, showed them that they don't have to work for someone else. They can work for themselves. They don't have to work a corporate 9-to-5 job. They don't have to, you know, be doing towing for 11 years. Like, they can do something else that's theirs, you know, to take pride in something. So that was, like, our main goal business. So
to help them too, to grow up themselves. Like, if they play a lot of games, so if they want, like, V-Bucks or, you know, other token stuff, they gotta learn, you know, I'm not just gonna give it to you. Let's go out and go sell. Come with me. Let's go. You know, majority of times, a lot of they give them tips. I'm like, look, you just got tokens right there.
Exactly.
So it kind of helps them.
And then I make sure to tack whenever Ice does that. I make sure to take a little her taxes as well, kind of thing.
He does tax her.
I'm like, here's $10. Let me take 3.
Exactly.
Just to get her used to it.
So checked up.
Yeah, it teaches them hard work and it teaches them independence. Like, for us, we try to involve them from start to finish. So if we know we're going to go out to go sell, what ice creams are we missing? What ice creams would you want to try to see out there? You know, go ahead and grab the ice cream and go put it in the cart, you know, and organize it how you would, you know, sell it out on the street. So it's teaching them more than just being stuck going with their mom and dad to go sell ice cream. You know, they like to interact with people. So, you know, it teaches them customer service. It teaches them, you know, social skills, them money counting, things that they'll need later on, whether they want to continue doing this business or not. The main goal is for them to be independent little humans on their own.
And I feel like that's, like, those are life lessons. Life lessons, you know. And I just, like, right now I totally, like, clicked. I'm like, you guys have, like, the total target audience of, like, kids. You have kids, and you're like, hey, what do you guys like? You know, and it's like you guys are ahead of the game. Like,
Right?
what kind of paletas do the kids your age like? You know, so dude, that is so awesome because it's like I feel like that's definitely like the target audience of like the little kids being like, quiero una paleta, and then you're like, yeah. So it's like because you guys have 4 kids, right?
3.
Okay, and so which is like freaking awesome because it's like they're all age ranges, and so then you're getting like the opinions of like the most important consumers of your of your product, you know. So yeah, you guys are masterminds.
Yes.
I love that. Was there anything that you guys would love to like share or anything like that before we end the interview? Anything like you guys wanted to say?
We're thinking about getting some works together. I wanted to do. I was talking to my wife about it. Maybe November or December. I wanted to start like a pillow drive, like especially for all the homeless.
Nice.
You know, anybody could use a pillow downtown. You know, I see last night dropping my wife off. Like, there's a homeless guy and he's just with his backpack. I'm like, man, he could sure use a pillow.
Hell yeah.
So I want to get that or something like that. Around November, December, somewhere around there, you know. So, and also with our backpack drive as well for a back to school drive, we're starting to get in works with that as well to get many backpacks as we can to donate to schools.
Yeah.
And
so we're doing the fundraiser, our first fundraiser, where we're allowing people to enter their kids' classroom or sponsor a teacher. When we first announced it, I totally forgot that it was random act of kindness day. So a lot of people are donating sponsored classes. So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah. That's such a great way of like, you know, doing something really nice for like the classroom. So yeah, let us know how we could get involved. Like, we would love to help.
Any way possible.
Yeah. Those are, you know, they're huge. You know, they make a huge impact. So we would love to help in any way that we can.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah.
Sure. Thank you.
And thank you guys again.
Yeah,
of course. That was fun.
Thank you. Like, another
Thank you.
power couple.
See you guys.
Yeah.
We'll see you
Trying to
guys
find my
soon.
camera here. So.
Thank you.
right.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
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 Bye. That was like Beyonce and Jay-Z.
Super cool. That was awesome.
They're a power couple.
Super cool. Yeah, that was awesome.
It's cool.
And I love ice cream.
Oh, dude, me too. And it's cool to like, I get so inspired by like seeing like families, you know, running like businesses and like getting their kids involved. And it's like, it does bring back a lot of like memories of like my dad being like, oh, you're so cute. You think that you could like not work for me. And it's like, what? And so.
But teaching kids what they're not learning in school.
Exactly.
You know, the entrepreneurial shit. Like they said, even counting money, customer service, all that shit is going to be so valuable to them later on.
So important because it's like having like that confidence to be like, how can I help you? What would you like? You know, all that kind of stuff really helps in the long run. And like, I feel like even when Ice was younger and she was in the studio, she became very like, she would come in and she would talk to people and she was very confident, you know? And I feel like that really helps with kids, like, figure out who they are as people, you know, and that will help her in the long run. Being able to, like, see, like, how the studio works, how, like, this happens, how, like, her dad does this and this happens, and, you know, all that behind the scenes is, like, it will inspire for her to, like, create something that she's going to be passionate about.
Because she did make a comment yesterday. I don't know if it was a good comment or a bad comment, but she did. Remember, she offhandedly said, she's like, you know, Dad, if all my dreams end up not working out, I can always sew like Mom. It sounded good.
We're going to sabotage you.
But
I think she, you know, I think when she gets a little bit older and she understands, like, everyone needs a purpose, you know, and it's like here in like our business and everything, there's a purpose for her here. Like, there's room for her to be able to grow. Like, there's room for her to be able to like inherit all this. There's room for all of that. So it's like, who else would be the perfect candidate for that but our daughter?
Exactly.
That she's seen like moments where, you know, it's like I'm working and then all of a sudden I'm like, I'm about to have a mental breakdown, and then I'll cry and she'll be like, why were you crying? And then I'm like, oh, I have allergies. But, you know, like being able to like, for her to be like, my mom's worked so hard. Like my mom, the business is her little sister, you know, all that kind of stuff where she's able to like see the value in and say, hey, you know what, like if I work this hard, I also could build something.
But she's got to want it too, because it can go either way. When you're a child and you think like you're being pushed into something like this is my only path, or my mom did this, so I have to do this. You usually kind of want to try to do something else because you want to be an individual too.
Exactly.
But this is always going to be here for her if she wants it.
Exactly. She better want it.
What's next?
So
so that we're going to lead into our what's next. And before you say anything, I wanted to just interlude. I had a little thought that came into my brain that I wanted to mention before we ended. But because you see the Skills Pay Bills tee. So I just wanted to point it out. I have one. Rosa had one. We ordered a bunch. And this is the main way, if you like this creative video project that we do, Skills Pay Bills, if you want to support in any way, that's how you can show your support. That's why we created these tees. We discussed doing like Patreon and some other kind of stuff like that, but honestly, we have Claudia has a great skill where basically she can make things. So we would always rather, if you want to support our podcast or anything like that, buy some of the stuff that we make. We don't want to charge you extra stuff or ever put you out like that or anything like that. It's like, just support what we make.
Exactly.
And buying a shirt, everything like that, like that helps us. That helps us so much, because these creative video projects are not free.
Yeah.
You know, so we invest in them, everything like that, because we see the great value in it. But if you want to help us and you want to support us in any way, we will never charge you anything. That's not what we do. But we have these beautiful T-shirts.
Exactly. They're soft, and they make you look really sexy.
Right? I mean,
look at that. He looks buff.
And even she printed it eco-friendly too.
Exactly.
So it's on brand, everything like that. And it's by our friend that she started her own business. She was screen printing for somebody else, and she said fuck it, and she started her own Print Think SD business. You know, so it's all on brand. So if you want to really support us, T-shirts are the way to go.
Exactly. And not just that, but that shirt makes you look so buff.
Thank you. You too.
But
not buff.
I am pretty buff.
Damn, I finally got one.
But you know what? The going back to like, we both equally have different skills. Okay. Equally have different skills. It's like mine might be a little bit more where it's like you're actually seeing something being built. Yours is a totally different kind of skill, you know? So it's like we're both are like big supporters of how skills can pay bills, you know? And we're not creating like this podcast to where it's like we're paying all of the bills, but it's like there's bills that are being paid with any kind of skill that anyone has, you know? And so, yeah, but the T-shirts are really cool. I'm really excited about those T-shirts. FYI, they're going really fast. We don't have a lot anymore.
But we'll once these run out, we'll make a new design. Like, that's it. We'll keep these always in stock. And if you want to support us, you can buy a T-shirt if you like Skills Pay Bills. Like, that's just what we wanted to put across there. We're never going to be charging you a monthly thing or anything like that. No. That's just not our style.
Yeah, and this is, like, fun for us to, like, you know, build a relationship with Copy and Steal, like, sitting here, like, talking about, like, what we want to do, like, how we could all grow. Like, and the fun thing about it is that it's, like, Brown supporting Brown, supporting Brown, supporting Brown. Keeping the dollar within our community is really important too, because it's like we don't want for it to go out. You know, we want to make sure that we're growing these kind of communities,
building it from within.
Exactly. But yeah, what's next?
Last bit of today is just going to be a quick little thing about what we're going to drop this week.
Yeah.
Tell us.
So we are dropping our duffel bag. So it's a really nice size, like, travel kind of, like, bag. It's really cool. Like, it has, it's about, like, 23 inches by, like, 9 inches. So it's a good travel bag. You can put all kinds of stuff in there, all made with recycled fabrics. I'm really excited about it. I actually did a commission for someone for this duffel bag. And a
secret commission, because we don't offer it.
It was a secret commission. And, you know, they were really, like, patient and super supportive with, like, the whole entire process. And it was a very meaningful bag for them. So it was a military bag, and we basically unstitched the whole entire thing, and we created like this duffel bag, and it was with the exact dimensions of what a carry-on bag would be. So for me, I was like, dude, this would be really, really cool for us to like make something similar to that. I love duffel bags, and I love making sure that it's a carry-on, because it's like when I travel, I just do a carry-on. I'm not packing more than my carry-on, you know?
So this is going to be a So Loka duffel.
Yes.
What makes it a So Loka duffel? What makes it different than any other duffel?
Because I touched it with my hands.
But what else? What else? What else?
Well, it's made out of recycled fabrics. A lot of the fabrics that we're going to be utilizing are like very heavy grade. We're adding like our own little kind of like twist of like the mismatch kind of like patterns and prints and all that. So it's just going to be all put together. It's going to have like a really like interesting like design twist where it's like you could tell that it's a So Loka, so which is a lot of fun.
Because that's what we're always thinking about too with every drop, right?
Exactly.
We want to make sure that when you look at it, like there's some kind of cohesion. Like you're like, oh, I know that's a So Loka.
Exactly.
So we're always thinking about that.
Yeah,
you
my
know?
wheels are turning.
Mm-hmm. So that's happening this week. We're dropping that this Friday.
Exactly.
Anything else you would like to add?
Oh, I think this is really, really important. I have always been like super transparent with like everyone and like everything that we've been doing with like the podcast, the business, all that kind of stuff. And this past week has been really difficult for me. You know, like I feel like I got into like this really weird, like kind of like a funk. And I just really appreciate people like just sending me like these like little random like, hey, keep, you know, your designs really like matter and this and that. And like all of them like at the exact time that I've needed them. And so it's like, it's so appreciated, you know, where it's like, I remember like I got a message and we were in the studio and we were getting ready to like drop the smell proof bag, and we got this message and I got so teary-eyed because it was like, it was exactly what I needed when I needed it, you know? And it's like all those kind of like little comments and compliments and all that kind of stuff, like, trust me, they mean so much to me, you know, because it's like, not everything is perfect.
Most of the time
know?
it's not.
Yeah, most of the time it's not. But, you know, it's like, it's really nice to be able to have like, not just like the support in like the brand, but it's like as a person, you know, because it's like, there is a person behind this brand that like has the same struggles that we all do, you know, where it's like you feel a certain kind of way, like you're having, you know, like these tough times. So it's like for someone to like just write like that little message, it means so much. And it's like, it goes such a long way. And it's like, you don't know how like impactful that is to someone, you know? And it's like, and I've gotten like a few of those this week, and I was like, who are these angels?
Because they didn't know you were going through.
No, they didn't know any of that kind of stuff. And it's like, you know, and it's like, I feel like collectively we're all going through something like that. But I feel like we all get inspired and motivated in different ways. And that was like definitely like one of those things where like I was just kind of like, wow, like people like feel what I feel for what I make, you know? And it's like, and that's all I want, like, you know, because it's like for me, like, it's like I understand that, you know, creating and doing all that kind of stuff, it's always going to be something that I do. Like, I've never been like, I quit, like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, I've never felt like that. This is my life. Mm-hmm. Like, this is a huge part of my life. Like, I couldn't ever be like, I'm done with it. Like, I quit. But it's like being able to have people that are like cheering you on that have never met you is like, it's just, it's very like heartfelt, you know? And I appreciate that like a lot, you know? And so it's like, I feel like seriously they were little angels that like sent these little freaking notes to me, and that really helped me get through that rut.
So whoever you were out there, thank you. We appreciate you.
You know who you are.
You know who you are.
You know who you are. So thank you for that.
And that's a great way to end the podcast.
Yep.
We love you guys, and we love you, Claudia. I love you.
I hope so.
Can I get a love you back? I don't know.
I love you too.
All right. Cool. We good? We good?
Yeah.
Signing off. Like, comment, subscribe. I always wanted to say that.